Are we going? Great. Welcome to the third episode of Legends We Make. Here we have Charles W. Bone. He is a great friend of my dad's, lawyer, and I think that my dad will kick us off with a question.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So glad you're here today.
I'm honored.
Thanks for being our guinea pig, our honored guest.
And feel free to another donut.
Oh, yeah, jump in there. So I'm thinking back, I first met you long before Owen was born in 1998 is my guess. And I remember you walked really, really fast around the office. You had to walk fast if you wanted to catch up with Charles. And you seem like you're a very happy person and always have been. And I'm curious if you know that about yourself and if that's a choice or if it's a predisposition because it's really contagious.
Well, thank you. That's a good place for me to start because it's both a choice and a predisposition. And, you know, it's just been a part of my nature forever. So, and I try to practice it because it's amazing how often it shocks people that you have some degree of happiness about you. Because a lot of people don't.
Definitely. We've been places and my dad will smile at people and they're so shocked that sometimes they'll look confused at my dad just because he smiled at them.
Well, and you have to be sensitive to that because there's so many people who are hurting so deeply in their lives that they are offended by an overwhelming happiness in somebody else. So it has to be mixed with a compassion or an empathy, that people can recognize, I guess.
Yeah, I think kindness really gets you super far in life. The first week of school, I've been so great, in school to all my teachers, and it's not just because I'm a good person, because I am, but it's when you inevitably fall, you'll have so many people there to help you and be like, oh, I know Owen, I'll help him. Don't worry, we'll get you out of this. You know, it's setting up protection for yourself when you fall, and just being kind gets you so far.
Well, that's a very mature approach, Owen. There's no question about that.
Yeah. I think you're right? I've had friends in my men's group, and they weren't really sure if my positivity was genuine. I think they were pretty thrown off by that. And then years in, consistently, they know that it's not a show. It's not pretend. It's real, which doesn't mean that I don't recognize sadness or hard parts. They're hard for me by my wiring. But I've also noticed one thing that I loved about Charles from a very young age was how in the office you would come in the door every day and you would greet everyone by name. And so it wasn't these platitudes and it wasn't glossing over people. You would truly want to connect with everybody and find them where they were and lift them up a little bit. So it's been a great example for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's, that's easy for me, because that's my nature or predisposition, however you want to say that. But because I do love people and I love to know about people, and I hate to, now I go to the gym and I see all these people every day, but, we don't necessarily interact because I don't want to necessarily invade somebody's space or they don't want to invade mine. So it's, I have to be a little more cautious about my approach.
And then when because obviously you worked for a firm and then you left to start your own firm, what type of difficulties did you face when starting your own firm?
Well, it was a moment of freedom more than anything else. And I mean, we knew what we were doing, and it was just a matter of kind of implementing and executing what we knew how to do. And we had clients, and we had friends, and it was not a burdensome ordeal to get that going.
But it was a risk.
It was a risk for sure, and there were times, during the process, that every day wasn't a picnic.
Well, it's still the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that's humankind. I mean, every day is not a picnic, and every meal is not a banquet.
We're gonna jump all over here.
Yeah,
feel free to jump in anytime you want, but kind of sticking with the work theme and your happiness and your career as a lawyer. What do you think about that career, law? What do you think about it as opposed to different careers? Have you really enjoyed and benefited from personally?
Well, I often say that I've never regretted it one day. Now, every day, again, it's not a picnic. Every day is not necessarily pleasant, but this has been such a blessing to me to have had this career and the opportunity to work with so many people and in so many different ways that I can't imagine doing anything else.
I feel the same way.
Yeah,
I do. I mean, I feel like you get to play so many different roles. You get insight into people, and even when they're businesses, they're run by people. So you get insight into their mind, their personality, their heart, their fears, their dreams, and somehow, as a lawyer, you're given this privileged position to be part of that journey for them, whether it's achieving a dream or overcoming a struggle, right? Somehow walk in the journey with them, and we can't guarantee the results. We like certain results, but we can't guarantee them. But for me, and I think I'm curious about y'all, and Owen, and wherever you've been, you can think about a camp or a class. But when I think about where I've worked and working with you and the group that we've got together, for the most part, we're surrounded by people who really like what they do. And that makes it so much more fun and easy. And I can remember when I've been at some different environments where I've been around people who were pretty miserable, and I was ready to quit practicing law. So I feel like maybe if I didn't get to be a lawyer, as long as I got to do something where I was surrounded by other people who loved what they were doing, I'd probably like it.
Yeah. And I encourage young people who ask, well, should I go to law school? Should I be a lawyer? And I encourage them to just take one step at a time. And, and they'll know, usually they'll know in law school whether they want to do it or not. But certainly, and we've had a lot of examples of, very successful people who decided for one reason or another that they didn't want to be a lawyer, but they profited from the education. And so everybody is different, and everybody's got. And there's so many lawyers over the years that I have known who were miserable.
Yeah,
I wanted to say, you can do better. You can do something that you like.
Yeah,
but you have to make a decision to stand up and walk out and go do something else.
But you've been really instrumental in building the culture at our firm where people are happy. And for the most part, right? Like, I mean, and I know we always talked about a third. Love it, a third, don't like it, and there's the indifferent middle. I think we're tearing more toward the happy side.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah.
And you, from what I know, you don't have to be practicing law anymore, do you? You could be retired.
Oh, I could be.
So why do you?
I don't know that I could be retired, but I qualify.
Yes. So why do you keep showing up to work every day? Why do you still enjoy doing what you do, even when you know that you could just be relaxing?
Well, three reasons. One, relaxing is not in my DNA, so I'd have to really practice to relax. Two, I love what I do, and I love the people I work with, both as clients and people who I work with on a daily basis. And I have such wonderful people helping me do such such great things that I can't imagine doing it by myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And how do you feel about that? Because I know you can't be retired, but what keeps your clock ticking?
I mean, the variety of the work is really, really fun for me. And it's super lucky. I mean, in any profession, there are some people who have a very monotonous job, and that would be hard for me. I used to talk about Billy, the guy that worked in the parking garage, and I'd be like, I could never be Billy, right? Like, this was sort of my litmus test, because there's no daylight, and I like a lot of sun. But Billy was a happy guy, and I came to learn that there's something about having some time and age, you get some wisdom. And there have been jobs that I have seen that are much worse than Billy's. Billy at least got to interact with everyone who came in that job, and he made a career of it. And I don't know, I feel lucky that there was a lot of monotony in Billy's job. There's not a lot of monotony in my job. There's a lot of what Charles said, the variety of the people, the issues, and then being part of a team that I love so much and that I've benefited from, mentors like Charles. And I think being a lawyer, there are other jobs like this too. But if you like to learn, it is a great job, because you can be a student your whole life and you can be a teacher your whole life. And if you're open to the idea that you're no better than anybody else and that everybody can teach you, even the brand new person coming out of law school has wisdom from me. I mean, that's a lucky perspective from my view.
Yeah. And I really like the job of a doctor or a lawyer, not just because of the pay. The pay is more like a reward for doing a good deed. But like being a doctor, you get to help people every day. You get to like see your results. And like when you do what you do well, people love you and they like praise you because you really just help somebody out. And being a lawyer, you really, again, it's not just for the pay. That's just an extra reward for doing what you do well. Mm-hmm. But like being a lawyer, you get to really step into other people's lives and hopefully change it for the better. Because I know what you do IP and litigation defense, mm-hmm. So mostly defense. And so you're helping people keep what is theirs, and you're just helping the underdog sometimes, helping somebody who doesn't always have the money to come to a big lawyer. You can, I don't know, being a lawyer and a doctor, they're just jobs that it's not just for the pay, but it does just so much help to other people. I think that's a big part of it for me.
Well, but I would just add, I mean, there's, pardon me, but, it's not just being a doctor or a lawyer. I mean, yeah. Your teachers, get that same satisfaction, if they really love what they do, mm-hmm. and invest, their souls into, what they're doing. And I mean, and Billy, in the parking garage, there was nobody who tried any harder, worked any harder, or enjoyed it any more,
right.
than Billy did. And
so part of the secret is put your heart into what you're doing.
Exactly.
And finding what you like to do.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't like what you're doing, then don't do it. There's something that you will like. So if you don't like it, choose something else.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it is, right, any job, right? I think about my mom being the social worker, my dad being a probation officer. Anybody can have an impact. Sometimes lawyers have secret power that we don't know about, right? Like I was telling you about the conversation I had with the guy yesterday who's an investor in a company who they're about to lay off a bunch of people. And another friend of mine said, well, you don't have any legal obligation to pay those employees. We can just wash that in bankruptcy. But he knew that morally it was the right thing to do, and he just needed a little nudge in that direction, which we have the ability to give. So these people who we don't even know we're going to be touching their lives, but we're keeping their lights on for 2 more weeks. There's a lot that all of us have the ability, but lawyers are given the secret access to really have influence for good or for bad, I think.
Yeah.
Let's switch to heroes. Who are some of your heroes? I mean, I think I have a sense, but I'd love to hear it.
Well, what's your question has really prompted me to do a lot of soul searching about that, because when I think about heroes, I think about people that I greatly admire or idolize, and I don't idolize many. I don't. That's a word that doesn't register with me. Yeah. But I admire so many people, and the first one that comes to mind is your father and Owen's grandfather. I mean, Jim Trolley, because was somebody I admired greatly and who was a hero, and all of those guys who worked with him or knew him or were, I guess, co-actors of his in so many important causes in Nashville motivated me and moved me to be a part of some of those issues. So, and that goes to Father Strobel or to Harris Gilbert or to, Sonny Dixon, a lot of people who, many others who would be included in that kind of that kind of conversation.
Social justice.
Yeah. But then, as I reflected on who the people in my life who I have admired and appreciated, it goes to those people who I have worked with, every day. Mm-hmm. And most of that starts with, Mac and Mike Norton, mm-hmm. and Vicki and mm-hmm. you and Trace and, Melva and Stacy. And, you just go down the list and those are the people that mean so much to me. And then, I've been blessed by just such an abundance of friends that this has given me a good opportunity to reflect on how meaningful those relationships have been. There's a song that Owen wouldn't know who Randy Travis is. Randy Travis was a great country singer, and he sang this song called Heroes and Friends.
Are you going to sing it for us?
I'm going to sing it for you. But then they would shut this down. But one of the lines in there is, your heroes will help you find good in yourself. Your friends won't forsake you for somebody else. That's how it goes with heroes and friends. So the Devo group that I've been meeting with for over 30 years, we did this book back 10, 12 years ago called Heroes and Friends, where each one of us wrote a chapter that was such a meaningful exercise, for all of us as we, went through that, that requirement, that discipline, I guess you would say. I wouldn't say it's a requirement, but a discipline of, reflecting on who we were going to write about or what we were going to say. And so it's really a fascinating group of 12 stories, I guess, in there that make a difference.
And what was the assignment to each write about your heroes?
Well, it was much broader than that. But yes, it was to write about your heroes and some part of your life where that was, you know, a lot of us wrote about our parents.
Yeah.
A lot of us wrote a lot of different stories, but you know, you prompted me to remember this book.
It's a great exercise.
I was surprised that I could go back and find it so quickly.
And like you said, not every day is a picnic or a walk in the park. I'm curious, what is the best piece of advice that you have gotten? And then from all of your knowledge and wisdom, what's a piece of advice you would give somebody my age or somebody who is trying to figure themselves out?
Well, so one of my heroes, you know, in the context of admiration, is Howard Baker. He was a senator from Tennessee and, you know, chief of staff at the White House and da-da-da-da. But Howard Baker, when asked that question, said, just always do the right thing. And what we learn is if we really, most of the time, we know the difference in right and wrong. There are times when we don't. But if that's, you know, if you can't remember any other advice, which, you know, there's a lot of it out there, you know, the advice of do the right thing is pretty profound.
That's good. So I know your dad was a banker, but you just mentioned how you and your Devo group talked a lot about your parents. I don't know much about your dad other than that he was a banker.
Well, he was a banker. He didn't become a banker until he was 65 years old. So he was a child of the Depression, and he was he went to high school, but no further education. And you know, when he was 32, when he was 32 in 1942. You know, he went to World War II, which made him one of the kind of older enlisted men in, you know, in that war. And he was just a, you know, a really sweet, smart, humble person who, you know, who had a work ethic that made things work for him and for our family. And he was growing up on the farm, you know, where I was born, and where he was born and died on that same piece of property between 1910 and 1999. 89 years old, and lived on that same piece of property his entire life.
So, was he alive during World War I?
No. Well, he was born in 1910, so he would have been a child during World War I, yes.
Do you remember any stories that he would tell you about going to World War II?
Not many, because most of what, you know, has been written about frequently is that most of the soldiers didn't do much talking about their experience in the war, you know, and that was a trait of that generation. So, you know, he you know, I have pictures of him as a soldier, and you know, he was never in combat because he was too old. You know, at age 32, so he was, you know, at the Normandy. He loaded the boats. He was a part of the group loading the boats with supplies to go across the channel, you know, and so it's you know, he just didn't talk about that much.
But you were born right before he left?
No, I was.
You were born right when he came back?
9 months after he came back.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So he came back on Christmas Day, 1945. Right. So he and my mother had been married since 1941, I guess. They married before he went to war, as so many of those in that generation did.
Now, I know this is a little off topic, but we're learning about World War II in history class right now, so I just thought I would say it. But Hitler was a very bad man. We all know this. But he was such a good public speaker. So because Germany was in a state of depression and despair, he got up on stage, and hearing it from an English perspective makes no sense. He's just ba-da-da-da-da up there. But if you translate it, he is like telling people how Germany will arise, how he will bring it to power. And so if you look at it from a different perspective, it really makes sense why people believed him. He had such like enthusiasm that people they didn't second guess it. He created a great reputation, and then he said, let's blame it on the Jewish people. And people believed him. People went on with it. So I think that's a very interesting part of World War II.
Oh, there's no question about that. I mean, he was a intoxicating type of speaker with a personality that we've seen other places without any question.
Without any question.
But, he made it work at a time when the German people were at their lowest ebb. Mm-hmm. And then I would use the word trick them into becoming haters.
Manipulate.
And manipulate them. That's right.
I'm going to switch again to, there's a book out now called Atomic Habits. Have you read it? Mm-mm. Me neither. But I get the gist of it by the title, right?
I'm going to get another donut.
The idea is that if you want to make a change in your life, you can't do it all at once. You need to do it gradually, but you need to develop some disciplines and some habits little by little that are atomic, that are just so powerful. You've got some very good habits, some very good discipline. What would you consider your atomic habits?
Well, I do think that's a hard question. Let me answer with a different story.
Sure.
I was listening this morning to a podcast about Alcoholics Anonymous and about the 12-step program and how it applies to all of our lives. And this guy was making the point that, all of us are, most of us are addicted to something. And the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous have such a great inspiration for all of us. And, I've seen it in the lives of so many people, primarily, who've been alcoholics. But, you can see that type of need for discipline in all of us. And discipline would be one of my, primary attributes that, makes my world operate.
Mm-hmm. Because you can compartmentalize some things.
Right.
So here's some atomic habits I see of yours that you may not know. Every Saturday, you can count on seeing Charles. It used to be if I needed to get in with him when I was a younger lawyer, and he was so busy walking that Olympic speed around the office, I knew that I could catch him on a Saturday, and he would slow down and have time. And he still does. He comes in every Saturday for a few hours, I think, to get organized. I've never seen you leave your office without everything being perfect and tidy for you to come in the next day.
That's probably right.
And I see you doing what my dad did every day. He walked at a slower pace than you. It used to be called the Bone Shuffle. He went from running marathons to walking so fast that you'd get shin splints trying to keep up with him on. But you walk every day, right? I mean, and I think prayer is an important part of your life. So, and family, obviously, right? So I've named a few habits of yours that I observe.
All of those are, I don't know how you would rank all of those, but they are all such an integral part of my life that, that keeps me grounded, I guess.
You have any questions for this big guy over here, Owen?
Well, I'd love to know how Owen has, I guess, integrated himself into the Innsworth school, and
that's a pretty easy one.
And whether you've enjoyed it or not.
So first of all, I know that I think my whole class is watching. So hello, class. I can name a few people: Carson, hello; Miss Landry, Miss Pearson, Dr. McGee. They all told me to put some stuff in here, so I might have to throw some stuff in. But I think Innsworth, my school, does a really great job of integrating new students. All the new students came in one day early, and they taught us all the rules. They showed us where everything was. I think, and then it's less about being in school, what we do in school. I think it's more about what we do out of school. They have such good out of school opportunities where you get to know your class so well. I mean, I think the third week of school, we were going on a week-long class trip to Marymount. Or Merrimack, I don't know. But they have really good community events that just naturally brings people together. So I don't think it matters who you are. I think you will find yourself in the right place. I don't know. And my principal told me to put this in here, so I'm going to. There's nothing. You can never have too much knowledge. And I agree.
That's right.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That's I mean, such a positive experience. It's just amazing.
And I mean, I'm so lucky to go to the school. I mean, 6 indoor, 6 outdoor tennis courts. I'm blessed. An Olympic-sized swimming pool, a football field, a baseball thing. Like, I'm telling you, the out of school, or in school, but extracurricular programs are through the roof.
So this needs to be an ad for Innsworth. Innsworth needs to pay for this podcast.
I'll send you over a link to my PayPal, and I'll send you over the video recording.
The sponsorship opportunities?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you,
we're going to have to bleep their name out unless they pay us.
Listen, one day we got to get you together with the head of school over there. And the vision statement really drew us into that school. You're walking around the high school, and the banners talk about love, joy, and humor, among other things. But the intentionality, right? Like that they want to create a positive environment where kids can be pushed, but also really happy. And I feel like that's the same culture that we've tried to build at the firm. You know?
I think I might know the mission statement, so I might get it wrong, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
Innsworth is a K through 12 co-educational independent school. The school promotes academic excellence, inspires...
Okay, buddy, I was counting on that sponsorship money.
Yeah.
It's over.
There's a scholarship gone.
Inspires people to be their best or something. It's a good mission statement. I could probably find it real quick.
So let me...
Y'all chitter chat.
Yeah. You look it up. That's good. So I can make this easier for you, Owen, if you follow this study where this, again, our Devo group met and learned to describe our lives in 6 words. Mm. So you don't have to remember a long...
Just 6
words. And that's a great challenge for everyone.
Did you do it?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Can I hear them?
Yeah. Well, faith, family, friends, hope, joy, peace.
It's pretty good.
So those 6 words are my hope for my life.
Mm. That's great.
I got the mission vision. Innsworth is a kindergarten through 12th grade coeducational independent school. The school promotes academic excellence and inspires students to be intellectually curious, to use their talents to the fullest, to be people of integrity, and to be contributors to society. And so that's the mission statement. And then the vision statement is quite long. So I might just read a bit. or you read a bit.
I'm good. They can go online and get that.
I can't read for a long time. We envision a school community dedicated to the following the highest principles with the greatest love, as characterized by moral, integrity, intellectual vitality, discipline, compassion, humor, and joy.
Highest principles with the greatest love. I'm good with that.
There you go.
For a non-religious school, pretty good.
Yeah. Then humor and joy.
Let me close out with this final question, if you'll indulge me. So you just finished celebrating the 24th anniversary of our firm's MLK Day celebration, which is big. 24 years in a row. I know we started in a small room with maybe 10 people, and it's grown to a few hundred every year. You brought in a lot of the former civil rights leaders and the people who marched and boycotted and got arrested and thrown in jail. What inspired you to do that?
Well, again, we've talked earlier about I guess, aspiring to a greater sense of justice in what we do in this country. And, when you look back at kind of the foundation that Martin Luther King Jr. Laid for that movement, and the effect of that movement, and the effect of that movement on so many millions of people, I think that inspired us to talk about how could we just remember on a regular basis his teachings and his life, and celebrate that life so that we could pass those teachings on to other people. And it's worked. I mean, we've had so many people who've been so appreciative of our efforts in that arena that it's been really amazing.
We need more of it.
More of it. That's right.
We need a modern Martin Luther King. Owen, no pressure.
No pressure. Also, I think something really important about celebrating MLK Day is not forgetting the past, like World War II, MLK. I think it's so important to keep culture alive so that we don't repeat mistakes that not just like America has made, but the world has made, and teaching those fundamentals around the whole world. I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
Wise words. You want to close this out and we can all have a donut?
Yeah, so I have like a signature closing. So here we go. Thank you. Or I forgot what my signature closing was.
It's so signature.
So I'll just...
that we forgot.
I'll just say thank you.
Hey, and thank you sincerely for
I'm
being
honored
here.
to have been a part of this, and thank you.
Love getting to learn more about you. Thanks, Owen.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
That's it. I mean, yeah, the recording doesn't actually end. He just has to cut it.